Good morning. My name is Jess Markowitz. I am a superstar director from Las Vegas, Nevada. And my dear friend Debbie Pitts Palmer, your superstar director, asked me to come on and share some things that I feel that are important for us to know about our business. And hi, Miss Debbie. I'm going to actually just close it looks a little bright in the back. Let me do this. Oh, I think that's better. I'm going to turn the light on. Okay. I didn't realize how bright it was behind me. Okay. Oh, you're so welcome, my friend. This is a subject that I really feel is so important for all of us to remember and know about in our business. First, I'm going to share a little bit about myself so you kind of know where did I come from and why should you be possibly listening to anything I have to say. So I joined in 2011 and April, the very first week, it was the 3rd, it was a Sunday. And I was introduced to Scentsy actually about a year prior, and I was living on base. My husband was active military. And my neighbor brought me to her house and we were just picking something up, and I happened to come into her house and her house smelled amazing. Obviously Scentsy was in there, right? And so I was like looking around, like waiting to find like a candle being burning somewhere. And I was like, well, where's your candles at? It smells so amazing. She goes, it's actually right there. It's a warmer instead of a candle. And so she had explained it to me. And so I had a house fire when I was 7 years old. My whole house burnt down before my eyes. My mom literally, I was taking a nap on her lap, and she picked me up, and I remember waking up and her running outside the door. And we went across the street, and when she put me down, I turned around and my house was like in complete flames. So fire scared me from that day on. So when I walked to this lady's house and she told me that her house smelled amazing and there was no fire involved, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing since sliced bread. So I had to have it. I had 2 young little ones at the time. My son was not even 3 yet, and my daughter was barely 15 months, I think. So obviously I wanted my house to smell good like that. And I love the fact that it was safe for my kids, because I would not light a candle in my house. I was so terrified of, especially because I had little ones. I was like, I don't want them to get burned. I don't want them to knock something over. So that's how I became introduced to the products. And because we were active duty military, unfortunately, the military doesn't get paid the way they should. I wasn't working. I actually got laid off from my job right before we moved to the base that we were at, which was New Mexico. And I couldn't find a job when we got there. It's a very small little town. And basically, if you weren't related to somebody, you weren't getting a job. So I enjoyed being able to stay home with my kids. It was an amazing time to really just take advantage of that. But unfortunately, we weren't making enough money. We were really, really broke. And so even buying Scentsy was not something that I could do all the time. So when I got a catalog from her, I found out, that she was actually selling it. And I was like, well, I know I want at least a warmer in my house. I had a very small 1,200 square foot house. We lived on base. So I was like, at least if I get one warmer in my living room. So I asked my husband, I was like, can we please get a warmer? This is so cool. And I was like, all I did was stay in my house. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know my neighbors. I was very shy. So being in my house was like my sanctuary. So I was like, I'm here all day. I would love my house to smell good like this. So he basically, did what he needed to do to make sure that we could buy a warmer on his next paycheck. So fast forward, I bought from her for about 10 months, I'd say maybe a year. And I would just buy a bar pretty much like every paycheck. And it was only $5 back then. So I know you're like, really? How can anybody only buy a bar? I know, but that's how broke we were, guys. We were really that, like, I literally had to go, babe, I need a bar. Can I just buy one? And he'd be like, but he knew that that's what made me happy. So even he gave me the $5 and something cents for tax to buy my bar. So fast forward again, my husband actually left for 6 months. 6 months, he was deployed, and I was all by myself. I didn't know anybody, and I got in a pretty bad depression. So by the time he came back 6 months later, hi, Shandi, is that how you say it, Shandi? Sorry if I'm hacking that up. Thanks for jumping on. By the time he came back 6 months later, I was like in a deep depression. I was scared for our finances. I was like, what are we going to do when you get out of the military? I've been out of work for so long. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find a job, because you know how when you don't have a work experience, when there's a gap, they kind of look at you weird, like, what's your problem? Why haven't you been working? And so I was just really terrified for our future. And so he was like, you know what, we'll figure it out. And he's like, let's go to this retirement party. And I was like, I don't want to go celebrate somebody else's career when, we're like really, I was in a bad place, guys. I was not having it. And we didn't have much gas money. I was like, we're going to spend our gas on going into town when you have to go to work. You're not getting paid for a couple days. So I was just really in a very negative mindset and just scared out of my mind that we didn't have the money. But he was like, no, you need to get out of this house. So he dragged me out. Well, I'm so glad he did, because I met my sponsor there. So it wasn't the lady I was buying from. Now, why did I not join on the lady that I was buying from? Because she didn't ask me. She didn't share with me that I could be a consultant too and make some money. She knew how dead broke I was too. She knew that's why I was only buying one bar. She never offered the opportunity to host, to like ask my mom and my sisters and my family members out of state that I did, because I told you I didn't really know anybody, but I could have asked them if, to order some stuff so I can get some stuff free, but she never asked. So I didn't know it was available to me. And you're probably thinking, well, she gave you a catalog. Well, unfortunately, guys, I don't read catalogs in detail the way we wish that the customers do. So if you're thinking that they know about your opportunity just because they have a catalog or a hosting opportunity, unfortunately, we're sadly mistaken, okay? Because that catalog opened up just far enough for me to pick out a warmer, and then I closed it and told her what bar I wanted, which was my first order was they had the warmer with 3 bars, and my husband, like, that was like a gift to me. So he got me 3 bars and a warmer. And I got Clean Breeze, Satin Sheets, which I'm so sad is going, and Perfectly Pomegranate. So those will always be my faves. So Satin Sheets is in my Scentsy Club, right? Because I don't want to lose out on it. Sorry. Oh, you can? Oh my goodness. Oh, I hope it's helpful. So anyways, the lady that I joined with, so I was, like I told you, I was very shy. Hi. Ooh, Hulanda, what a beautiful name. You guys have such pretty names. So I was very shy. I still am in certain circumstances. In big crowds, I'm shy still. Anybody that knows me knows that. I'm kind of like when we're like at reunion, or if I'm at a leadership or somewhere, like I'm kind of shy until I kind of get into my comfort zone of my friends. But that's the way I've always been. But I was even worse back then. So I kind of sat in the corner. My husband, the social butterfly that he is, took off and started talking to his friends and just left me while I was eating. And so my sponsor, she invited me to sit down with her at her table. And I was like, oh, how nice of her. Okay. And it took me about a half hour of talking to her before my husband sits down and goes, oh, Scentsy. He noticed she had a Scentsy shirt on. I didn't really pay attention. And he's like, isn't that the stuff you buy, babe? And I was like, oh my gosh, yay. So I lit up like a Christmas tree. I was so excited. And he hadn't seen me smile like that in a while. And he's like, oh, wow, this is really cool. So long story short, guys, I learned more about Scentsy, the opportunity, and what it stands for in about an hour than I did buying from my consultant in over a year. Now, what does that tell us, guys? Is that we need to be sharing and making sure our customers know about everything that's available, because what really got me, let's remember that I said we didn't have a lot of money, right? I just lost my train of thought. My gosh, I'm like all building up and then I'm like, oh shoot. So you don't have to be perfect to be powerful. So, okay. So out of the whole time that I was buying from this lady, I had no idea about the causes that we do, that Scentsy does. So my cousin is a very low functioning autistic man. He's in his 30s now, but I've known him since he was born, and he's always had a very special place in my heart. He's struggled his whole life. He now just got diagnosed with cancer, unfortunately. Sorry, I did not expect that to happen. Sorry, a little emotional. Because of him, I had the courage to join Scentsy. I gave my sponsor every rebuttal in the book. I don't know anybody. We have no money. I'm not a salesperson. I'm too shy. I gave her everything you can think of. And she said, but you seem like you really love the fact that we support autism. And I was like, well, yeah, I think that's amazing. She's like, well, but as a consultant, you'd be able to support and help raise money for this cause, the Foundation Speaks Foundation. What's it called? Autism Speaks Foundation. And that's all she had to say to me. All of the rebuttals and the worries and the insecurities that I had just kind of went out the window. And when I focused on what was important to me, all of a sudden I had the courage to join. So on the way home, I was like, babe, I feel like this is God giving us like our second chance. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I really have a strong prompting that this is what we need to do. And he looked at me and he goes, we don't have any money. And so I have to back up really fast. The day before we went to this, when he came home, we didn't have milk in the refrigerator, guys. I went to go, my little 2.5-year-old said, Mommy, I want some milk. And I went to the refrigerator and we didn't have any milk, you guys. We didn't have any milk to give my little baby. And that just was my bottom of the barrel. Like, I'm done. What the heck is going to happen to us? Like, how did we get to this point in our lives? And, so when I was driving home that day, I was like, I really feel that God is saying, here, I'm giving you an opportunity, but you have to take it. So when he told me we had no money, we didn't have any money in the account because we weren't getting paid for another couple of days. I looked at all my credit cards, which is, I don't recommend this. This is why I'm going to be talking to you guys. This is the subject. Okay, guys. I charged my last credit card. Now, it was the biggest blessing I ever did. Okay. But I don't recommend that. I don't recommend you to say, hey, to your potential consultants, charge your last credit card because you don't know if it's going to turn out like my story, right? But it did. I literally was on the phone with all of our credit cards, which were all maxed out, on the way home. And I found one credit card that had just enough for the tax, the shipping, and the kit. And I woke up the next morning at 8 o'clock. I remember like yesterday, and I just couldn't wait to join. And I literally called my sponsor. I said, okay, I started. What do I do now? So what did I do is I dove in. I asked her, what are my first steps? Now, back then, over 8 years ago, guys, there wasn't the first things first checklist like we have. There wasn't the do this, do that. Here's the video for that. This breaks down everything. I mean, we now literally don't really have to have sponsors, really, except for support to get people going. So she sent me to my first training call that was available from our upline. And you guys, the rest is history, because I dove in. I learned as much as I could. But the biggest thing that happened, you guys, is I implemented what they were saying. I trusted that these skills and these actions were going to work because they worked for them. The people that I was listening to, if it worked for them, why not me? Why not you, right? You might be brand new listening to this. So I really want to encourage you, when you think about it, everything in life, if we don't learn and practice, we never can get good at it, right? So it's the same thing with your business. We have to treat it like now we have like an online college in our workstation for a training center. So you could literally say, I can't sleep tonight. I can get up and start training. Let me utilize this time that I can't sleep and get some information so I can get out and do some actions tomorrow. So I have a long story. I mean, there's so much I can share in 8 years, but here's something, the topic that I told Debbie that I was going to pray a lot about what I should talk about today. And I kept getting just as strong of a prompting that I did when I was supposed to join, that I need to talk about how we can utilize our business for ourselves as well as others to become more self-reliant. So we don't have to utilize, I love you too, Debbie. So we don't have to utilize credit cards to get by and to get the things we need in life and to help other people. We can use this opportunity to get ahead in life. Now, statistically, there's more people that are consultants that still have an outside job. Some of them, it's because they just enjoy what they do. It's not because they're not making enough money with Scentsy. It's because they enjoy what they do. Like Debbie works a full-time job. You guys know that. She loves what she does. And I don't know why or if she's at the point or not, but to be honest with you guys, I wish I had that opportunity to have a full-time income and then build my Scentsy business on the side to have extra income. I went from zero money to building just an income to be bringing in food on the table, paying our car payment, and it just built from there. And I was able to get another car for myself finally. We were able to buy and build this house eventually. So many things, but it took very specific actions and planning. So that's what we're going to talk today about. So do you know what self-reliance even means? Self-reliance is being able to maintain your life even if you lost your job today. Can any of you guys say that would happen? So how confident, I'm going to ask you this question. I want you to ask yourself this and take just 30 seconds. How confident are you with your financial future? If you lost your job today, or your husband lost your job today, or your spouse, there might be some Scentsy men out there, love our Scentsy men. But if your financial circumstances, the income that pays your bills every day, that holds it's basically your net to hold your life up, it was eliminated today, where would your life be? Would you be losing your house? Would you be losing your cars? Would you have to pull your kids out of sports? Would you have to stop going to, vacations in the summer that you like to take for your kids? Would you have to cut out on things that you love to do or even that are necessary in your life? That's a very, very scary thought, right? But here's the thing, in 8 years that I've been with Scentsy, and I'm sure in the 10 that Debbie's been, we see people come to us on a regular basis saying, I just lost my job of 23 years. I put everything into that career. All I did was put all my focus and energy into that job, and they just let me go like I was nothing. And it may not be because they didn't care, but their company maybe couldn't afford that person anymore, or the company was going under itself. So are you looking at your future and using your Scentsy business as a safety net? Do you have $1,000 in the bank if your transmission just dies and breaks out of nowhere? Because believe me, in 8 years, it's happened twice already to me. And the first time it happened, you guys, my husband was terrified because it wasn't covered under our insurance. And he didn't think we had the money to pay it. And we only had one car at that time. But what I was doing, I was putting money aside. I was putting groceries on the table. I was doing things paying off bills and credit cards along the way, just trying to catch up. But I was also putting money aside. And when he told me that it was going to cost $1,000, you guys, I had $1,100 in my Scentsy account that I was able to say, babe, we could pay this. And I'm getting emotional because I remember that moment that I was going to say, babe, we're going to be okay. We have $1,000 in my Scentsy account. And he's like, what do you mean? And he's like, but you've been buying groceries and, paying the credit cards. And I was like, yeah, but I was also putting money aside for something like this if this ever happened. And because of Scentsy and our owners, they teach us to pay for our homes first, that instead of paying Scentsy on Scentsy, but paying Scentsy on our homes, on our families. And I listened to that. And so I had $1,000 saved up to go and say, here, babe, here's my Scentsy card. Go fix our transmission. And you know what happened? That was the moment that my husband realized, wow, this is a thing, isn't it? This is actually something that you can really build off of. You're actually making money. And I said, yeah. He saw, out here and there, but it didn't sink in. Because here's the thing, guys, men, if maybe you're one of those women that say that your husband doesn't support you or anything, men need to see like facts and results. So if you're not showing them, you know, what you're doing with your business, that like, hey, babe, I paid X amount of dollars towards this bill. If you're not sharing that, you're just doing it on the side, they may not be realizing that this is actually moving you closer to your future to be more self-reliant. So make sure you're sharing with your people, your spouse, the people that are supporting with you, what Scentsy's doing for you. So how is managing your finances going to help you be a better steward as a leader, if you're a leader in your organization, as a parent? Have we ever thought about that? What are we teaching our kids? Are we teaching them to grow up in this crazy world and have to worry about paying their mortgage, or, you know, paying their bills, or, you know, having to take out student loans? Or you have to find out what's important to you. Okay, that's something that's they always say, what's your why? Oh, Shandi, yes, most of the time we are struggling when we join these kind of things. But I want you to also remember that there's people out there that they're not struggling. They are paying their bills. They have a job. Everything is what Mel Robbins, sorry, I get them mixed up. I love them both. Mel Robbins calls the F word. Does anybody know what the F word is? It's not the bad one. Get your mind out of the gutter. What's the F word? It's the I'm fine. Do you want to just be fine for the rest of your life? Or do you want to be self-reliant? You want to know that you have an emergency fund for anything that can come your way, that you are ready to, when curveballs get thrown at you, you're able to knock them out of the park. You're able to say, you know what? Like Angie Williams, Shining Star for 2011. I always remember her because she received the Shining Star in 2011. That was my first convention or reunion. And she said that when her career, she was a CEO or some top dog of a huge company. I think it was like Nestle or something. When they called her and said, we no longer can keep your position, she was like, okay. And they were like, Angie, do you hear what I'm telling you? She was like, yeah, okay, thank you. Why do you think she was able to do that? Because she used her Scentsy business as a safety net. She was able to say, I've already built a Scentsy business that I still have money coming in. I'm going to be able to put food on the table still. I'm going to be able to pay my bills. And now, which the most brilliant thing she said, which inspired me, and I hope it inspires you, she said, now I can put more time into my Scentsy business and grow it bigger. And guess what? She did. I'm sure you guys have met her at Reunion if you've been there. She's an amazing woman, just like your amazing Debbie, which is why she's our Shining Star this year. So that's another question. What are you teaching your kids? Are you financially struggling? Do they see you struggle with payments to put things in? Now, if you're in the situation right now, you know, don't beat yourself up, but now is a time to say, am I truly utilizing this opportunity to the fullest of the potential that it has? Am I bringing other people on a regular basis? Because what's that going to do for you and them? You are going to grow your income and your organization by serving other people, helping them achieve their goals, right? And what's happening with them? The people that are fine, you're helping them be more than fine. So I strongly suggest for you guys, don't look at people that have jobs and seem, oh, they've got such a busy life. Don't decide for them, because you don't know if they're behind closed doors crying and saying, I can't even pay my bills this month. Or, you know, we just got this bill that came up that we didn't plan for. And yeah, we're paying our regular bills this month, but we can't afford, you know, this doctor bill that just came up that we didn't expect to have. So never, never, never decide for other people. Offer every single person that crosses your path this option. So you've probably heard a ton of times, this is getting pretty long, I'm gonna wrap it up in a minute, but a ton of times you've probably heard when the waitress comes up to you or the McDonald's drive-through person or whatever, they always offer you their specials, right? What's available. And they always ask, would you like to biggie fries that? Or would you like to hear, you know, this is our specials, or would you like coffee, wine, tea, our special, you know, whatever of the day? Do you get offended when they say that? No, they go, you'd kindly say, that's okay. Or you go, oh, I didn't know you had that. Yeah, that actually sounds good. And if you say, no, I don't want that, do they go to the back of the room crying and quit their job? No, they don't, right? They just, okay, I did my part. It's the same thing with us. What is our job? Our job is to offer the product, but the most important thing is to introduce the business opportunity first. Why? Because they can get the product and they can get the rewards from hosting, right? But they can also earn an income, whether it's just extra income or they can create an entire career like I have. And in income disclosure, I will post it at the bottom, but now I'm making more than I've ever had working full time. And I basically work about 4 hours a day, if that, to be honest with you guys. The more I work, the more money I make. But now I have the choice to say, today I want to spend the day with my husband because he's off work. I don't have to ask anybody. I don't have to find out if it's okay. I don't have to worry if I'm going to get laid off when I come home from going out with my husband. And this is all available to all of you. So first, do you know that? Do you truly know that? And do you truly, are you truly accepting that you have the ability to take your life in your own hands, your future in your own hands, your income in your own hands, and stop asking where your money went, but asking and telling it where it went, telling it where to go. That's what that's the Dave Ramsey thing. Instead of every month saying, where did my money go? Saying you're telling your money where to go, meaning I'm going to be paying this credit card off this month. I'm going to be putting this much money in savings and I'm going to leave it there because I need an emergency fund. So you might be saying, okay, well, how do I do all this, Jess? Start small. Start small. Set a small goal, just like you do with everything in Scentsy, to be able to put away. My goal is to save up that I have 3 months a reserve for my mortgage and my car payment. So if everything else, if something, I lost my job or whatever, life changes and we have no income coming in, that we have at least 3 months reserved in an emergency fund that we can put this aside, and I don't have to stress if something ever changes. If somebody gets sick, I mean, we don't know what tomorrow brings. I just got the news that one of our dear friends, superstar directors, passed away in her sleep on Tuesday. It broke my heart because she's such a beautiful person. And now, I mean, it broke my heart because I didn't get to say goodbye, but now I know she's up in heaven with Heavenly Father, and I'm sure she's happy, but she's going to be missed. But the point is that we don't know what life brings tomorrow. So are we preparing for those days? Because like with her family, you know, they may need they're asking for donations to help with all the costs. Do we want to put that burden on other people? If something happens, if we get sick, something happens, I don't want that, right? I don't want to make this a depressing thing, but we have to think logically. We have to think we have an opportunity to truly put ourselves in a great position, not just a fine position. And we can offer this to people, even if they are completely thinking they've got their job in the bag, they've been there forever, they make enough money, whatever. But here's the thing, the people that are like that, they're smart enough to know that it is a good choice to have money in the bank. So when you talk to them about that, and when you're talking about the opportunity to somebody that has a full-time great job career, maybe they have their master's in whatever they're doing as a job, those are things that used to intimidate me, guys. I used to think, well, I didn't finish college, so who am I to tell this person that finished college and has a job, you know, a good job, that I can help them? Well, I can't tell you how many people in my organization, all are very educated people. I've got nurses, I've got teachers, I've got lawyers, I've got, first responders of all, all these really highly educated, wonderful people, but they all are smart enough to know that they need something to fall back on. So my biggest message today is, have you counted out those people to offer the opportunity to? How many people do you know that you look at them and you've decided that they're fine, that they don't need this opportunity? And then how have you sat back and decided to stay in the fine zone yourself? Are you that person? I can honestly say that I was the fine person for a long time until I lost my job and I couldn't find one. And that's what made me go, wow, I need to do something about this. But it can happen to all of us. I hope it doesn't happen to any of you. But if it does, it doesn't have to be losing your job. Something else may happen that costs financial security. You need that income. So instead of swiping a credit card, you'll be able to say, I have this. Are your kids going off to college? Your kids getting up old enough to drive a car? All these little things, these expenses. Are you having to deny your kids to play sports because you can't afford it? You know what? I was that little girl. I wanted to be a cheerleader. I wanted to play. I wanted to be a sports person. I wanted to play basketball. I wanted to play volleyball. The only team I was able to ever play on is a basketball team because it was free. But everything else, my mom couldn't afford it. And I don't want to be that mom. As much as I loved my mom, she did what she could. But I want to be able to provide and give these opportunities to my kids. And I'm sure all of you do too. So if you've learned anything, because it's already about 30 minutes and I'm sure I'm snoozing you guys, remember, ask yourself, am I financially secure with my future, whatever it may bring? And if you can't say you are, I challenge all of you to set a small goal to every month when you make your Scentsy income to put a little bit away. A little bit away. It's going to be different with everybody because y'all have different incomes coming in through Scentsy. But a little bit, maybe say 3%, and put it aside to your emergency fund. And then the second thing I challenge you to do is I want you to go back to your list of 100 and think about all the people that you passed up sharing the opportunity because you thought they're fine. They don't need this. Because here's the thing, guys, we all know that it's not just financial that you gain in Scentsy, right? It's sisterhood, it's brotherhood, it's constant lifting you up and learning and growing yourself on a personal level. So even if they are millionaires, it doesn't mean they don't need Scentsy. Because they may be millionaires with no relationships and nobody to confide in. They may need a Scentsy sister in their life or more, because we tend to get a lot more Scentsy sisters than just one, right? So I hope this helps. I hope it gets you thinking. And I hope that you are inspired to take this opportunity and not only maximize it for yourself and start truly offering the opportunity so you can truly receive the potential of this compensation plan. By helping other people, you're going to achieve your goals. And the one thing I'll always say, a quote that really stuck with me since the beginning is, if you work hard now, like most people won't, you'll be able to live a life like most people dream of. So if you have a full-time job right now and you can't imagine coming home and working like Debbie does, and in the morning and on her lunchtime after work, all this, she is setting herself up a life of choice, which she has. It's her choice. It's not because she's forced to. So if you want that freedom, I'm telling you, you have the opportunity. You just have to take it. I love you all. I don't know you. If you see me at reunion or any type of Scentsy event, I hope you come up and say hi and let me know who you are. And I pray that this opportunity blesses your lives and others that you introduce it to the way it has mine. Have a sensational day. Bye.